With 4 of Joe Biden's cabinet picks already selected, who will fill out the rest of his cabinet? Join us today on your Political Perch as we go through and run down all of our predictions and picks for Joe Biden's presidential cabinet. Join us and welcome to your Political Perch. Hey guys, and welcome to the Political Perch Podcast, a bi-weekly podcast that talks about current events, politics, presidents, history, and anything that is plaguing the United States of America. Join us. Hey guys, welcome back to a Wednesday show on November 25th, 2020. Sorry for the delay of a day. It's a little bit of extensive work to go through each little cabinet spot, and we're going to focus on the secretaries and attorney general. Cabinet level stuff like chiefs of staff, advisors, etc. will kind of be left off maybe in a later video just for time's sakes, but we have to talk about 10 plus positions today. It's been a crazy week so far, Ashton. I know we here at the Mr. R Show collective group are going to be announcing something huge in the next couple of days, so we'll drop that hint and you guys can let us know what you think is going to happen. But big news coming, so watch out for that. But Ashton, without further ado, let's kick off our kind of cabinet predictions by first stating what's already been taken. Obviously, Vice President's been taken. No shock there. Kamala Harris is VP. Secretary of State was just announced. Antony Blinken, very well respected, very seasoned veteran in that department. Secretary of Homeland Security Alejandro Mayorkas also was picked and just announced, or all sources are saying this is almost a 100% fact, is the Secretary of the Treasury, and that's Janet Yellen, who also was the chair of the Federal Reserve under Obama and would be the first female Treasury Secretary. Ashton, any of these picks stand out to you? Any of them a home run pick? What are your just thoughts on those first 4? Well, let's do 3 and just exclude Kamala Harris.
I really think they are solid, knowledgeable picks. I'm not very familiar with most of them besides Yellen, and I thought she did all right on as the chair of the Federal Reserve. The economy grew during that time. So in general, I generally think Biden has chosen a very quiet path of knowledgeable people. Ooh, yeah, people, and that has really it's a change of pace, Andy, ain't it, from the last few years?
Yeah, Ashton,
Oh,
you can definitely say none of these picks are crazy out there. None of them are hugely controversial, but they're safe picks, they're respected picks, and it's just what you need in this time where you're trying to kind of, as Biden would say, bring back the soul of the nation, try to bring unity in a very divided time. So, pretty safe picks. I don't think any of these people are going to be very disputed when it comes to if they have the knowledge, if they have the know-how of doing it, and I think they're all going to be confirmed and become what they are. So, good to see some safe picks off the bat. But now, Ashton, what we're all been waiting for is our personal picks. We're going to go each secretary and the attorney general and talk about who we want our one pick. It does not mean they're going to get it. Obviously, it could be. We could pick ones that are very likely to get it, or we can pick ones way out of left field, like picking Dwayne Johnson for attorney general or something like that. That did not happen with me, but I'm just saying we could be as crazy or as safe as we want to be. And without further ado, Ashton, I'll actually let you kick it off with your Secretary of Defense.
well, when going into this, Secretary of Defense is a very critical position, and I I thought about a few candidates, and ultimately, I had to end up with the one I think was best for a job, clearly, and I think that's Mark Esper, the current Secretary of Defense. I think he's done a really good job under the Trump administration. I always think it's a good policy to try to bring over one or two cabinet secretaries from the last administration as a way to keep continuity, and I think the defense department in general under Trump has been a solid working machine separate to everything else crazy going on. So I got to give the nod to Mark Esper. I think he's done a great job and he's more than well qualified.
Yeah, actually, I can respect that pick. I definitely can see if Biden wanted to go the path of trying to go to both parties to kind of having him be one of the carryovers from the Trump administration. If that would be probably the only one, it would be him. But I'm actually going to go with more of a. Most of my picks will be clean slates. I think all of them are just because I'm not entirely sure how confident Biden's going to be in leaving any kind of Trump cabinet members. But I got my Secretary of Defense is someone I know you have respected a lot when it came to vice presidency, and that's Tammy Duckworth. I think she would be a great Secretary of Defense. I'm going to do a little spoiler here. I think I also briefly thought of Pete Buttigieg in this, but obviously I was going to put him not having as much experience as Secretary of Veteran Affairs. That's going to be later, but a little spoiler there. It kind of was down between these two military members, retired military members, not as active. But Tammy Duckworth has been an assistant secretary of Veteran Affairs, so she has experience there, and we all know she's a retired Army lieutenant colonel who has got hurt and been stuff like that during her time in the Army and the armed forces. So I think it should be a great pick, and I think it's one that a lot of people would respect and pretty much confirm completely.
Uh, Tammy Duckworth as a hmm. Yeah, I respect that choice. I think she would be solid. She would definitely be respected. She has that experience in the military that would help out greatly just with the familiarity. Because, as someone in the military, you know, it's not that someone outside the military can't get a good appreciation for what they do or like how it operates. It's just easier than just jumping straight into it.
All right, Ashton, let's go ahead and move on to our next secretary. Actually, before we get to the rest of the secretaries, let's go ahead and talk about our attorney general picks. Who do you got?
Mm. Uh, Andy, I got a former attorney general of Montana, the former governor of Montana. Gosh, Montana. I'm making up states now. I got Steve Bullock going for the AG job. I have a lot of respect for Steve Bullock. He's a very smart Midwestern politician. I think he's that kind of flavor Biden likes. He is a bigger name, but I think he would do good in the job for a Biden administration. So that's who who I have so far.
My attorney general pick, Ashton, is Sally Yates, the former deputy attorney general with the Obama administration. She got carried over to Trump just because of, waiting for his pick, waiting for that. And, when he was trying to go for his executive order, that was the quote unquote better known as Muslim ban. She was the one that put her foot down, would not agree with the Trump, would not support him in that aspect. Obviously, Trump fired her, but I don't think she would have been carried on anyways, just because she was from the Obama administration. But regardless, that shows that she is very committed to defending the Constitution, the laws of the land, regardless of consequences, regardless of really her job security. So that's someone you really need to defend, especially coming from a presidency, administration that has been very, let's say, careless with the laws of the land. And it's good to have someone that is going to go back and stand firm against whoever's in charge. So I got Sally Yates for that position. Next up, Ashton, is the Secretary of the Interior. Who do you have?
I have a um, Congresswoman from Arizona, Anna Kirkpatrick. She has been there for a little while, and she has been the uh, not the vice chair, but she's been on the agricultural committee for a little bit in the Congress, and I think she would be a decent piece to add to the Biden administration.
Yeah, and she's very respectable. I have no problems with her. But my Secretary of the Interior is actually going to be Deb Haaland. If you know her story from New Mexico, she would actually be the first Native American in any presidential cabinet in American history. And she has a huge goal of conserving 30% of U.S. land and oceans by 2030. You know me, I'm huge into environmentalism and conservation and preservation of our land. I think it would be great just for the diversity, for the history of it, for having her being the first Native American in there. She is well loved in her, obviously in New Mexico, but she's a very influential speaker when it comes to the native population, to the more minority populations as well, and she would be a great pick in my eyes for Secretary of Interior.
Mm-hmm.
Next up, Ashton, is the Secretary of Agriculture, currently held by Sonny Perdue. Who do you have?
Sunny Purdue. Um, oh, we're going through the exciting stuff, aren't we? Um, Alma Adams, the vice chair of the Agricultural Committee. I think that's pretty common sense. She has a good experience dealing with these types of issues, and it would be a smooth transition.
My pick, Ashton, for Secretary of the Agriculture is Marcia Fudge, the Ohio Congresswoman who chairs the subcommittee on nutrition. And she's very crucial and critical on the nutritional rollbacks at the USDA. I think she would be a good pick, kind of focus more on the obesity problem in America, which is one of the worst in the world. And obesity, especially in the southeast and the south regions of our country. And I think it's something we got to address. And on top of everything that's been damaging agriculture, I think Marshall would be a great pick in that position.
Mm-hmm.
Keeping up with some of the fun secretaries, we're going to the Secretary of Commerce, Ashton.
I have Biden picking Penny Pritzker, and that was Obama's last Secretary of Commerce. Uh, One of my continuity picks. I feel like sometimes with the economy right now being on shaky footing, you kind of can't have someone start that job new entirely. So it has to be someone with a decent amount of a decent amount of familiarity with the department, and I think she would do a good job.
Yeah, Ashton, I understand your reasoning with the economy, having to bring someone in that can really have the experience and know how to handle it. But I'm kind of doing these kind of picks as if things were going right, who would I want to see under a Biden administration do best for this country? And I'm going with a very, I won't say controversial pick, but a different pick, and that's Meg Whitman, if you remember her. And that is actually a Republican to be in Biden's cabinet. So going cross party to kind of bring that unity that Biden really truly wants to have for this country. She's the former CEO of eBay and current CEO of Quibi. And I know Quibi is a meme and everyone likes to hate on it, but it is a new idea, something that is sort of working when it comes to the new streaming service. It's unique. I think she has the wherewithal. She was very good for eBay. I think she'll be good for this country and just be a good commerce secretary. Ashton, it is time for the Secretary of Labor. Who do you have?
I have the man, the myth, the legend, your guy, Andrew Yang. Um,
Who?
yes, a little spice. I knew you would like that. I respect Yang a lot. I think he has a lot of useful, thoughtful ideas that Biden can kind of hear from, and he would be a good voice in the administration.
I would love to say, Ashton, that I agree with you. I love Andrew Yang. I wanted to do something. Maybe if you would sneak in, maybe you could put him in the Commerce Secretary or maybe have a little bit of a lower like advisor for Biden. But I don't see him as a big secretary of anything right now just yet. I think he needs a little bit more experience, a little bit more polish, if you will. And this is what I told you. I when me and you were texting before, getting the time down for this podcast, I said, watch out. I might surprise you with someone's your favorite, socialist in the Senate, and that is Bernie Sanders. I actually have Bernie Sanders as Secretary of Labor. I know it's crazy to think about, but he's very interested in the job. His supporters are very interested in pushing him there. And I think out of all the Democratic candidates that we saw in 2020, he's the one that's 100% more focused on the labor side of things, on the worker side of things. And when one of the biggest things the Secretary of Labor does is wages and hours, Bernie Sanders is almost perfect for that spot. I'm surprised, Ashton. No reaction from you over there.
I mean, I think you'll all be good, comrade.
Secretary of Health and Human Services, Ashton.
I gotta go with Dr. Fauci.
Oh, explain your reasoning there. Interesting pick.
Yeah, I feel like Health and Human Services, you can get into just not dealing with government manpower, but also like the impacts of different health related things, and I just really think he would be adapt to that. I think it would be a nod to his service during the last year, and if he wanted to take it, I think he would be good for the position.
Honestly, Ashton, I would love to see Fauci in that position, but I think Fauci should stay what he's doing with the virus protection, prevention, being the expert in his field there. We need him with an administration that's actually going to take what he says seriously. So I would keep him in that position instead of moving him to this Health and Human Services Secretary position. And I have actually Dr. Vivek Murthy, the former U.S. Surgeon General and the former Vice Admiral in the Public Health Service Commission Corps. And he also is a founder of the Doctor of America. He was very influential with Obama being nominated by him. He's young in his 40s. I think he's got kind of the wherewithal again for this thing. He is very passionate about health and safety of Americans, and I think he'll be an excellent pick. Going on to Julian Castro's position under the Obama administration. That is Secretary of the HUD, or the Housing and Urban Development. Also, Ben Carson's there now. Do you see another kind of presidential candidate pick being put there, Ashton? Who do you have?
I do. So all those housewives better look out because Cory Booker is my HUD nominee. So that's my kind of have fun pick and like a Biden poking Trump in the eyeball pick. Just by the fact that I don't see why Cory Booker would take it. His experience isn't directly related to it, but I would laugh at that. That would be good SNL skit.
Ashton, I actually did consider putting Cory Booker there. I was like, could I see Booker there? He was one of my final two picks there, but I'm actually going to go with Diane Yintel. I'm very, if you notice, I've been very woman centric in this video. I'm not trying to be like a full woman, but I just see a lot of good women out there that need shots at running things, and I think she is one of them. She is the CEO of the National Low Income Housing Coalition. She's very much for equal housing, low income housing, and fixing that. And I really like her in that position and think she could do well. Moving on, Ashton, to my pick, and this is going to be very controversial, but I'll let you start, and that is Secretary of Transportation.
Oh, Secretary of Transportation. I'm going to go with Seth Moulton. He is a congressman from Massachusetts. He has a bachelor in physics. He served 4 tours um, in the Marine Corps. A very respectable person. I think he could do a lot of great things in the position. And he thought about running, or I mean, he might have ran in 2020, but I don't remember him going far at all. But a very impressive person.
All right, Ashton, are you ready for my controversial pick here?
Mm.
So, this one man was briefly talked about in 2016 for being Trump's Secretary of Transportation. And now I am bringing him back. This will be my fun pick. Yours was Booker. This is my fun pick, and that is Elon Musk. And you're probably sitting there just completely confused and completely laughing at my pick. But I really think it's going to bring a hugely different dynamic in that White House with someone like Elon Musk as Secretary of Transportation. You know his dreams about the underground system of roads. You know his work he's done with Tesla and everything with alternative energy that he understands with that. I think it's crazy fun pick, but I think if you take a chance, it might just work.
Mm. Just hope he doesn't try to throw any ball bearings at windows again.
The meme himself. Imagine Joe Biden, Elon Musk, the meme kings in the White House, man.
Yeah.
I can just imagine that. Moving on to a less fun pick, Secretary of the Energy.
I'm gonna go with Jay Inslee, the governor of Washington. He's very, very pro environmental stuff. Um, this was this is one of those departments that it does a lot of good work, but you know that's the best person I could think of that Biden would realistically appoint. I mean, maybe John Kasich, maybe, but I think Jay Inslee would be more likely.
I like Kasich Ashton, but I just don't see him as a Secretary of Energy. I just don't see his line of history of his work being Secretary of Energy. What it's leading up to, if you will. So I have Jeff Merkley, the Oregon senator, who, according to Business Insider, was the highest scoring senator for environmental issues in 2017. I think he's very, very much forward thinking with the environment. He understands the claims of climate change. You look at your guy was from Washington, my guy's from Oregon. Northwest is very famous for their energy policies, California included. If you want to count, maybe the top is Northwest. Maybe you can argue that. So all that three area, you're gonna probably get someone from that area, and I just got Jeff Merkley in that spot. Moving on, Ashton, to our last two, and the first one we're going with is Secretary of Education.
Andy, I gotta go with the first lady, or soon to be first lady herself, Jill Biden.
Oh man, I forgot about her. Man, that would have been a great pick.
Uh,
Great
Thank
pick.
you, Andy. You're so polite. I know, it's genius. She has a long history of being in the education field. I think she would be very, very suited to it. And she just so happens to have a great rapport with the president. If Trump can put like 15 of his children in his administration, I don't think it hurts to put Jill in Biden's.
Oh man, I completely forgot about Joe Biden, Ashton. I'm not gonna change my pick just because we're already doing the video, but I would be 100% on board for Joe Biden. It's not Joe Biden, Jill Biden. Joe Biden is a dual role there, but no, Jill for that spot. I think she would be great. I think obviously she would be great. But I actually went with I'm gonna butcher her middle name, but Lily Escalacine Garcia. Joe Biden's been very, very vocal about wanting a public school teacher, or at least former school teacher, in as that role. She is that. She's a former elementary school teacher, also former teacher of the year, and former president of the National Education Association. So she knows what it's like to be a teacher. She knows she's good enough to be teacher of the year. So she's outward thinking when it comes about teaching. She knows what it's like. She's going to bring that experience in the White House, and either her or Jill Biden would be perfect in that spot, Ashton.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, guys, the one I already spoiled mine, and I'll start with it, is Secretary of Veteran Affairs. Ashton, I think we might have the same one. I could be wrong, but
Oh,
I'm going
yeah.
with Pete.
I want to say mine first.
Fine, I'll give you the honor.
Okay, I got man himself, Donald Trump. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Calm down, guys. I Andy, I know it. You know it. It's gonna be Pete Buttigieg. That no one else. The man did a whole. He was so impressive in the primary. He has the background for it. He has such a natural gifted speaking ability, and he knows what it's like to be a vet. And he'll just have a great rapport, and he'll help fix that department from its troubles during the last few years, and that includes during the Obama administration.
100% Ashton. Our first pick that we've gotten together, that's Pete Buttigieg, because not only is it really the only obvious pick in the entire list, it makes the most sense. It's also the best pick for veteran affairs because Pete is a veteran and he's so charismatic, he's so level-headed, he understands what's wrong with it, and I think bringing a former veteran themselves in as that role will finally start changing it for the better. And even though the Trump administration wants to say no one loves the veterans more, I think Pete Buttigieg will do a lot more for veterans than any administration, at least in the last 8 years or 12 years, has, Ashton. But I really do see Pete in that role, and it'll be great for him.
Mm-hmm.
So, Ashton, there was no Julian Castro in our picks. How come he fell out of favor so quick?
Um, I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if he's picked, but I mean, he's never been my cup of tea. Neither has his brother. I mean, they're both impressive people. Just not my cup of tea. It's kind of hard to put finger on it. I thought uh the way I don't know. I don't know. That's a hard one to say why. I just think there's better people for each cabinet position.
So, Ashton, another Democratic candidate that was huge on supporting Biden, kind of, kissing the butt, if you will, of Biden trying to get a cabinet position was Beto O'Rourke. You think he's going to get one this time, or is he going to be passed up?
Ooh. Uh I mean, again, it's hard to see what he fits into more than someone else. I mean, I could see him being HUD. Seriously. I mean, maybe.
Yeah, Ashton, but, Beto is so weird. I wouldn't say weird in a bad way, but he's so lukewarm, if that makes sense. Like, he had a very good 2018 campaign against Ted Cruz. Obviously, he lost it, but he's like, I know we've said this before, but he's kind of that one-hit wonder candidate because he did terrible in the primary season. I mean, he might have had arguments in Spanish with Booker and Castro, but like it's not gonna get you any votes.
Mhm. Yeah, but in general, I think both of our cabinets aren't too shabby, might we say, Andy? I like both of them. Of course, I like mine slightly more. It has Jill Biden in it. Can't beat her. Uh, and Cory Booker. You know those suburban housewives, Andy. They'll feel
I, I
better.
I think you're forgetting that Elon Musk is going to be transportation secretary, and in 4 years you're going to see Musk 2024 take over this country, brain chips everywhere, flying cars, you name it, Ashton. Musk 2024,
He can't even
throwing it out
build
there,
an indestructible
throwing it
window
out there,
correctly.
throwing it out there. SpaceX for the win. But all right, guys. In all seriousness, I am not for Musk 2024. That's a joke. Uh, nowhere near that. That's why he was. I don't even think we talked about him in our oddball section in our previous week's podcast, which was the 2024 presidential candidates who we want and who we think will be each party's choices. But thank you guys for joining us this week. I know it's a little bit of a shorter video, but it's so much fun talking about cabinet picks, at least our predictions for them. Is going to come out soon. We've already got a couple, like we've said, with Treasury and Secretary of State. So some of the big ones are coming out now. So within the next couple of weeks, we should have his full cabinet ready in place. So because we're getting closer to that January date where good old Biden's going to take office, as long as no more funny business goes on with the laws, with the dang lawsuits, and hopefully the electors, nothing fishy happens. But if all goes well, we're going to see Joe Biden as number 46 and sworn in as president. Thank you guys for joining us today on the Political Perch Podcast. Come back next week for another Political Perch Podcast.